Welcome to Knock Talk. I am your host, William Hall, broadcasting to you live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with episode possibly number 1 with Jason SPIRITUALBABIES at spiritualbabies.net. If you don't know this guy, you should. You need to go to the website. I'll leave it up on the screen for about 5 more seconds so you can write it down. Go to the website. It's really, really cool. He's got a lot of other stuff we're going to talk about as well. And so welcoming to Kingsland, Texas from Ireland, our dear friend and partner in crime, Jason, the man, Spiritual Babies. Jason, my friend, how are you?
I'm really good. Thanks for having me on.
Man,
people have an issue because there's no proper introduction, right? It's like Jason, I don't know what to say now, Spiritual Babies.
No, I like that. I think that's cool. And one thing I just really appreciate every time I see it is when I'm looking at that big banner that you have. In fact, I think that's the one I actually had up. I'll put it up one more time just for fun, where it says spiritualbabies.net and the little guy holding the sign, product does not contain actual babies.
Some people are hyper-literal. You have to.
That is so cool. It's really just as cool as the background that I chose for our show. That is just really, let me get out of the way. That's just really cool.
That's me on a normal day.
Wow. And I just found out from you, because I was talking about music and I was going to use your music. And I just found out that you actually write all your music for your own shows.
Yes, so anything you hear me on with Jono, that's going to be Jono's sister actually playing that, Katie. And you can, everyone's like, that's really good music. And it is. And she has albums of it. It's really good. But anything that I'm on, if it's a YouTube video that I'm hosting, then I've written the music for that. So the series that I did with Rabbi Federo and with Rabbi Skobac, and some of the stuff I've done with Tovia. I write all the music for that on my Mac with a few little bits of software. I enjoy doing it. It's very cathartic to do that.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, before we get started off with my questions, I got to tell everybody out there how I found you. My journey first started with my dear friend Lon Cherry Holmes, who we went to a Messianic synagogue together. My dad's Messianic group, I'll just call it a group, and that's where I met him like 20 years ago. Okay, but he was much younger. And he's obviously, he hasn't gained on me in age. I don't know how that works, but I'm just kidding. But anyway, he is now a mature adult who moved to Israel. And shortly after he was there, a year or so, he left the Messianic movement and sought conversion to Judaism. Make a long story short, he's in conversion now. I met him, and I re-met him after a big time gap. And he would drop little seeds on me. And he mentioned this crazy lunatic guy named Tovia Singer. And so I was thinking, I'm putting this guy way back on the back burner. Okay, I know you're serious, but I'm not ready for that yet. Time passed really quickly in my studies, because as soon as I started finding out, then he started mentioning people like you and Jono and all these others. And I was like, wait, there's just more than one. This isn't just some guy on the loose trying to change Christians' minds. And so I started listening to you and Jono, and then Rabbi Skobac, and all these things, just this massive group of family that is really doing a superb job in being a light to the nations. And speaking of that, Ira Michelson as well. Amazing. And your stuff, I love it because I just love the humor. I mean, the picture says it all. I mean, come on. You've got a really great sense of humor. You're also very talented, incredibly powerful heart for Hashem, and it's very clear and evident to everybody, and which is why we had to get you on the show. I want everybody who knows me, who doesn't know you, to know you, and to send you a friend request on Facebook, and to subscribe to spiritualbabies.net and listen to your stuff. And there's just so much variety. People ask the question to me, Jason, all the time, well, why would I want to do it over here if I already did it over here? And the simple answer is different ears in different places. Just because it may seem repetitive to me or to you or to Rabbi Singer, there are new ears everywhere. And so putting this light in all these different places, even in Ireland, it's a beautiful thing. And I think we can't get enough of it. So welcome to Tanakh Talk. Jason, tell us about yourself. Tell us where you begin, where were you? Where did you live? Where were you born? A quick journey through. We've got as much time as you would like. We can take more than an hour if we need to, because I definitely want to eventually get into what you do as your own ministry, with your websites, with your deviant, with your artwork, so many things that you're involved in. You're just so wonderfully talented, and this is a great opportunity for people to hear your story on things they're not used to hearing, things they never hear. That's what we want to hear tonight.
Things they never hear. Wow.
Hey, I didn't know you were a musician.
I've kind of gone through the I know it's up there, but the testimony still sends a shiver down my spine because it sounds so
churchy,
But yeah, I've gone through my story a couple of times. People can find it online, but I will go through it super quick. So I was raised in the UK, in East Anglia, and this is the bit that sticks out into the North Sea, in what you would call a Christian home in the UK, but maybe not what you'd call a Christian home in the States, meaning that when the census comes around and people tick a religion, they tick Christian because they're English. But the house kept Easter and Christmas. That was really because we like chocolate and presents and not for any other reason. And growing up, I wanted to get involved in a few associations. One of them was the Boys Brigade, which is kind of like the Scouts. And one of the prerequisites of doing that, if you wanted to get involved in that, was that you had to go to the Sunday school, which looking back is horrendous that you forced that on kids, but that was normal. It was okay. I don't know whether that's because they used the Baptist recreation hut and there was some sort of deal, it's called an affiliation deal these days, but so I did. So I went to Sunday school, and it was okay. To be fair, it was okay. It's better than staying at home on a Sunday morning. And while I didn't really learn an awful lot about God, I did learn quite a lot about how people get along, and it was quite good fun. So, and growing up, I had a relationship with something larger than I was, but I'd never really pinned it down as God, and I certainly didn't pin it down as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It was just, I understood that there was something bigger than me. It was quite handy to talk to on your way to school if you knew you were going to get in trouble that day. I'll be really good today if you can lessen the amount of grief I'm going to get later on, or if you can guarantee I'm going to get a chocolate bar later on. I'll be very good. That kind of relationship. But that said, my upbringing wasn't at all religious. I wasn't very religious until my early 20s. And I've done a lot of traveling. I travel around a lot. I think Ireland actually is the longest I've been anywhere since I was in my early teens. So my early 20s, I did get involved in the church. I was really seeking I was looking for a way to expand my understanding of the world, and I'd looked at a lot of different things, a lot of different thought processes and life choices regarding what faith is and what people believe in religion. And I fell in with a group of people who were half very Christian, if you like, full-on Baptist Christians, and half not. And they seemed to get along quite well, and I got on with them quite well. And I was invited along to a few different meetings, and I was given a gift of this Spirit-Filled Life Bible, which I started to read through, and start off at John. So I did. And it was kind of interesting, and it took a while. There was a lot of issues at the beginning. I didn't understand why this is the only choice, why this is the only way that you could have a relationship. But those were soon rebutted by the people I was talking to. The devil gives you 51 cards to make sure that you don't pick that one card that you should.
That is
there are so many
brilliant. I've never even heard of it that way, and that is so incredibly true. My goodness.
So, and that was how it was explained to me, that that's where you need Jesus, because there's so many other options and you want to make sure you pick the right one. And then I got really into it. I did the Alpha course. I got really involved in the church, ended up being a mentor on the Alpha course. Like a year or two later, I ended up looking after the kids groups and the youth groups and creative in parts of the church. Morning prayer, running morning prayer on a Wednesday morning real early. I was really into it, and not just in a, it's going to sound weird, but I don't really have a very spiritual faith life now, but I did then, and it was all very gushy. And it was super gushy, and that went on for a few years. And I was really engaged in the community, which I think is a really good part of if you live in a city, often there are large, really like super big churches. But if you go out into little villages and towns, there's generally a couple of churches that look after maybe 2,000 people. And within those, you get a really good sense of community. And, half the people are probably turning up because it's where they meet people, and that's where they have coffee and biscuits, and everyone helps. And if people need to have their house moved, there's this love in that community. And I think that's one of the really good things about church.
Agreed.
And this was run that way. Everyone knew everybody. If someone needed a coat, they'd get a coat. If someone needed help with their bills, they'd get help with their bills. If someone wanted a house move or a babysitter or the dog walked and they were sick, they'd get help. And that was a great, although I think they were doing it with complete honesty. It was a very great selling point. And I got really involved in that for a really long time. But the time came, I got the north wind and the itchy feet, so I moved on.
How old were you about this time?
Sorry?
How old were you about this time?
Early 20s. Okay. It's a good while ago now.
Okay. Whoa, a good while ago. How old are you?
I'm 43 years old.
We're very close in age. We're very close. Okay.
So I packed a lot of that stuff into a box. I certainly put God into a box. And as I moved forward from that point, I made life choices, which meant that I had to add an extra brick to that box. Till it got to the point where God and Jesus and all of that stuff was completely sealed in to this prison, and no longer affected me. And unless I concentrated on it, and then I feel the guilt. But other than that, it doesn't matter. I'm having a good time. So fast forward a good few years, maybe now 8 years ago, and I started to miss the sense of connection that I had with what I called God. I started to miss that sense of connection and wanted to seek it out again. And because of the area of the world that I live in and the way I was brought up and the experiences I'd had, I figured that meant going back to church, which I started to do. But something wasn't working out for me well. I didn't know if I liked it. Maybe it was the church, maybe it was me, but I wanted to look a little bit deeper. So at that point, I figured if I can learn Hebrew, maybe I'll have a better understanding of what the New Testament's talking about when it referenced the Old Testament. So I went online and found this guy who was doing online Hebrew lessons, a guy called Izzy Avraham.
I've heard the name.
If you're watching, Izzy, I apologize, but this is all your fault. Izzy Avraham is, he runs quite a successful Messianic ministry. And one of the ways he engages with people is to do these Hebrew lessons. And via these lessons, I learned about this thing called Shabbat. And after a while, it's maybe 3/4 of a year now, I thought this Shabbat thing needs further attention. So I spoke to my wife, who I have to say has been amazing through this whole thing. She's been by my side and not trailing or running ahead, or she's been consistently supportive and understanding and trusting and testing, asking questions.
Good.
And when I mentioned this, she said, okay, but this is what it says. I suppose we could try it. And so we tried it. And we started making Saturday, not doing anything day. From sun up to sundown at that point. And then progressively over the next few years, that led to bringing other things in. And I then found Truth to You and Rabbi Singer's Dallas programs, his real old school audios, which must try and get him to redo with better audio.
I think he's so old they're on 8-track, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some prehistoric bird standing on top of a granite stone.
That's funny.
Putting his beak down. So between those two things, I started to, I wasn't convinced by Tovia at all, but I found his arguments compelling. And I was listening to Truth to You, which at that point was running Torah Pals, and I was listening to the Torah Pals. They were really good. They're really good shows. They still are. Season 1 of Torah Pals is excellent. You learn a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was Jono and Keith Johnson and Nehemiah Gordon. Mm-hmm. And that approach for me was right on the money, because I was hearing this very factual pouring out of all this stuff that I never really understood before. So where are we now? Wow. So that led to a really brief 8-month maybe period of Hebrew roots stuff. It was super fast. I'm very grateful for that. I know people that have been stuck in Hebrew roots for 5, 10, and 20 years. And I'm really grateful that I didn't have to go through that. Mm-hmm. But what I did go through was like a really power hour of 8 months of super intensive Hebrew root stuff. And I ate it and slept it and drank it. And that's what birthed Spiritual Babies as a thing, because there's no one else in Ireland doing this, in the Republic of Ireland. And I thought, well, what if there's someone else and they want to find someone else? So I started the website. So if there's anyone in Ireland that was looking for someone else, I would be the focus point. They could say, well, there's at least one person. And I found out there was a group in the north, a Messianic group in the north. And then I started going up on the train every 2 weeks. It's like 3.5 hours on the train. And we'd go up there and engage with that community. Now, I'm not saying it was my fault, but a few weeks after we started going, things started to go badly in the in the group, which led to me getting an email saying, I don't want you to come back. And a whole lot of other people who were talking to me at the time, they weren't invited back either. So I booked a hall, and from there on in, we started doing our own little Torah reading group every couple of weeks. And again, all in all, that was close to 8 months, until I got to the point where what I was reading in the Torah, which was predominantly what I was reading, I just stopped reading the Christian texts at that point. And I found myself questioning the text. And I can still remember sitting at a table talking about Passover with a couple of people that we really liked. And we don't talk to anymore, sadly. I'd like to, if you're watching. And talking about the Passover and circumcision and the lamb and the issues therein. And that if you're not circumcised, how can you possibly call on Jesus to save you from all your sins when the text says specifically that if you're not circumcised, you can't do that? And if you're not the firstborn of a family, how does that even count?
Yep.
Because the Passover lamb only died for the firstborn. And the answers I was getting, not suitable. Just didn't. I was like, no. This didn't. So I started looking around at other people. Mark Biltz, really nice guy. El Shaddai. No, not good answers. And Jim Staley. Mm-hmm. Not good. And the result was me having a private conversation. I'm not going to say who it was with, Because I don't think we've spoken about that publicly, and I don't want them to get any grief over it.
Sure.
But I remember having a conversation with somebody who I thought was absolutely on the Messianic train about my issues. And I really, I sent them a message over Facebook, and I said, look, I'm having real trouble trying to get my head around this whole Jesus being the Messiah thing. I've got a funny feeling that not only does he not qualify as a Messiah, but that we don't really get told we need a Messiah in the text, which led to a Skype call, which led to the bottom falling out of my world when the person I was speaking to totally agreed.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, but I thought, yeah, you thought that because you hear what you want to hear like everybody else. And that's an absolute truth. If people, unless you categorically say what you do and don't believe at the beginning of the sentence, people will bleed into your writing or your words what they believe to make it easier to listen to. And that's what I'd been doing. And that was maybe, 3 years ago now? And then I was really on fire for, angry at the church, angry at everything I've been told, angry at myself, angry at not having more options when it came to looking for a relationship with God. And so from there on in, it's coming up to, that was October 2012. So we're coming up to 3 years. Then there's the whole birthing issue of you letting the world know, and then the world that you've understood up to this point being particularly angry and cutting you off. That difficult bit that everyone goes through.
Right.
But again, I'm super lucky because I don't have any family except for my wife and her extended family. But we do this; they're not part of this. So that was never an issue. It was really just the people that I was friends with up to that point. That dried up super quick for most of them. There are people who I've got on my friends list on Facebook who I've had through this whole thing. And what was really wonderful at the time is that I was just one bubble on this wave. When I was posting about the problems I was finding in the text and the choices I was making regarding where I was placed in my faith, I was the first person posting on that wave, but there were a whole load of other people who said, "Oh, look, he's done that. That's perfectly safe to do now." And that felt good. That I was breaking that stick, breaking that door down, letting other people feel it was okay to test.
Sure.
That was quite nice. And there are some of those people who are still friends on Facebook, so that's really good. And I'm really, Facebook's something I want to talk about later, but I'm really grateful for that community. And from there on, it's just been up and up, doing different programs and studying things out and sharing online. You mentioned earlier when we were talking before the show about the little teachings that I do, the little 2 and 3 minute things on YouTube. They're about as teachy as I get. Everything else I do is really just me giving people a snapshot of where I am as a person, as spiritual babies, if you like. It's not about telling people what to think. It's just about telling people what I think at this point in time, sharing that in the hope that it will give somebody else who may be worried about where they are or confused the option to say, well, that guy there thinks that too, so maybe it's okay to run with this for a while. I mean, the opinions that I have today, I'm confident are going to be different next year because they were sure different last year. Sure. And so that's where kind of I am now. It's been a long process coming from no real religion to a really religious religion to a short period where I think I just learned enough about Messianic Judaism and Hebrew roots to know what it was. It was like an introductory course, and then shoom, I was out. And had I not gone through that process, though, I wouldn't be qualified to to talk to a lot of people that I talk to because I wouldn't understand.
You know, as you were explaining to me, you know, the people are nervous if no one's done it before. I was really picturing like a person who was testing the ice on a pond. You know, if you've got, you know, people behind you who are 200 plus pounds, like I'm getting, and all this other stuff, you don't want to send like, you know, a young 2-year-old, not that you would do that, that's I'm just using it as an example, but someone who's only 50 pounds to test the ice. You need somebody who's heavier than you are, meaning more taught. And so when somebody who is not very well educated in the scriptures makes this move, that's really not doing a whole lot for the community. It's good for that person, but it's not really making an impact so much on others. But when you take somebody like yourself who has studied it out, who is learning Hebrew, people who actually have been ministers and know the word very well, even the Christian scriptures as well, who actually goes out there and does this thing, it makes a whole lot bigger impact. So you know, seeking to learn Hebrew and studying the scripture, not being a follower, but a leader yourself, even if it just means leading your wife and a small community, that's massively huge. You know,
I tell you what would be huge: the bruise. If anyone tries to explain to my wife that I lead her, that's gonna lead me to physical violence. But the thing is, I was you know, I was part of a small clique on Facebook, like a group of people on Facebook, and as soon as I'd made that move, the whole world opened up. And
that's
like
nice.
You said earlier, you thought you were the only one, and then you go through this, and then you find that there are hundreds of other people. And meeting all these other people who have gone through exactly the same thing, and some of them 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm this noob, you know, who I know all about this because I've got personal experience, but these people have got like 20 years personal experience. And it's really just about finding your place from there. And
Mm-hmm.
even from them, that hasn't been easy. I mean, what do? Do you jump on the Jewish bus straight away, run out and get myself a kippah and a talit? Or is that, you know, that's evil? Maybe I shouldn't be Jewish. Maybe I should go this Karaite route because, you know, I'm hearing all this bad stuff about the rabbis from them. Maybe I shouldn't go that way. Or maybe the religions of man, they're terrible altogether. So I should just do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I should just be like Messianic, but without the Messiah, and get a big cloak and a stick and live in a field. It's really hard to know which way to go. And it's I think it's one of the reasons I'm still hovering between lots of different camps. I definitely have centered on Judaism as the filter through which I express my faith. But I'm not Jewish, just in case anyone's watching. I'm going to just say that I haven't converted. It's not that it's not on the cards. It's just the possibility hasn't come up yet.
Sure.
I'm spending a lot of time looking at this Ger option. It's like a Noahide thing. And again, a couple of years ago, if you said Noahide to me, I'd have just got a really bad taste in my mouth.
Right.
And some of that's down to what you hear about things before you actually experience them. It's like when someone says, "Here, do you want to try this fruit punch?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't like fruit punch." And they go, "You ever have fruit punch?" No, I've never had fruit punch. Well, how do you know you don't like it? And a lot of things about my faith work have worked that way, where I've been introduced to an idea that I've really been repulsed by. Not because I've experienced it and didn't like it, but because I've heard a lot of things from groups which are anti that idea. And so, yeah, at the moment, I'm floating between groups looking at different options, and not options, but looking for a direction. The way that I can maybe put down a tent and hang for a while. And the Ger thing's very interesting to me. So that
can I ask you a question?
Focusing at the moment.
That's kind of along the way. In all of in all of your time that you've been doing what you're doing, have you ever met a person who was Christian or Messianic, left it to go towards just Torah, you know, and actually return to Christianity or return to Messianic Judaism because they found out something else?
I have one time, again, I won't say who it was.
Sure.
But Oh man, how to say that? So there was one person, a person on Facebook who was absolutely hate, love, hate, love. For the stuff that I was posting, other people were posting, and they'd listen to it and go, you know what, I think you're right. And then they'd go away and say, well, actually, no, maybe you're wrong. And they come back and think you're right. And I don't think that was an issue, that they were studying out what they were hearing on either side and making a decision. I think they were being led by emotionally.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And it was confusion. Mm-hmm. I really think it's super important to study out what you believe, rather than believe in what you study. If you believe in what you study, then you're kind of already sold on the idea before you open a book. So you have to draw your own conclusions. And if you don't have absolute understanding of the foundation of your house, it's really not enough to have faith that it's there.
Right.
And you can't engage with other people. I see. Wow, it's going to sound like I'm having a dig at people, and I really appreciate the heart, because I know I've done this. Right, it's a personal experience. You come away from the church and from Hebrew roots and all of that stuff, and I'm going to go and kick some butt now. I'm going to go and talk to them. I'm going to tell that internet why it's wrong. And you find yourself throwing yourself into forums and rooms full of Christians or Messianics. Now, to be fair, Christians are kind of easier to talk to because you've got a very level playing ground.
Yeah, agreed.
But you get involved in arguments that you understand that you don't believe that anymore. But when not an argument as in a shouting match, but an argument as in A equals B, Y, you get into an argument with somebody who completely understands why they believe in the New Testament. They know it inside and out. And they throw you an answer you just can't answer because you don't know why that's not true. Mm-hmm. And you don't know why it's not true because you haven't studied out why you believe it's not true. You just assume it's not true because you know it involves Jesus and therefore it's not true. Mm-hmm. And that makes you look dumb, makes your faith look dumb, and doesn't help anybody. So I'd really encourage people before you get involved in getting into other people's pages, understand why you think what you think first. I made that mistake, and you get burned real fast.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, it's okay. I'll tell you what, next thing, before I go, I need to leave. We're not leaving anywhere soon. Before we move on to my next question for you, viewers, if you're out there watching, 855-95-BIBLE, if you know Jason, I'm gonna sweeten the pot because I actually want to hear somebody else asking questions too. If you know Jason through Facebook or through spiritualbabies.net, and you want to call in and speak with Jason, the first caller, I will give them a free used Chumash. And if you don't know what a Chumash is, you should. English and Hebrew Torah with the Haftarah, spelled A-R-A. Thank you, Jason. Spiritual Babies. I had no idea. I just figured Torah and half Torah, like H-A-L-F Torah. But anyway, so with that said, yes, good. So you guys call in. Don't make me ask all the questions. I've got a lot of good ones, I think, but I think you probably have some of your own to ask as well. So, okay, so tell us how it was that you came into partners, so to speak, or going on to Jonah's show, and tell us a little bit about truth2.org with what you're doing with Jonah in Australia.
Oh, well, it's a good few years ago now, maybe 2.5 years ago, Jonah and I just got talking on Facebook in private messages, and he said to me, so Jonah gets a lot of private messages, right? I mean, he has a huge listenership, and I add him in his FB page, Facebook page now for Truth to You to help him out. Kind of techie like that. And he gets an awful lot of messages, and he was strumming through them one day, and he saw, because I just said, I really, I like your stuff. I dig you, man.
Yeah.
And he saw Spiritual Babies, the name come up. He thought, that's odd, and it got his attention. And that led to a response, which led to me writing back, and it's happened a few times, and we ended up Skyping and having a chat. And I know you must have just liked me. I mean, it's hard not to, right? Yeah, so we got talking, and after a few months, he said, "Well, how about we do something together?" And so we did our first show on the Melchizedek priesthood in the Book of Hebrews, and that led to something like 12 shows, 6 or 7 hours, as we go through the whole of the Book of Hebrews, and everywhere that there's a reference to the Tanakh, we explore it. And I animated the whole thing. I think it was the most work I did. It was exhausting. I animated the whole thing so the text pops up at the right time and all these things are happening.
Wow.
It's still on the the YouTube channel. It's super popular. And we had a good time doing that. And we talk to each other every week, sometimes a couple times a week. Sometimes when I'm not feeling very well, every couple of weeks. But every week we're recording something.
That's awesome.
So at the moment we're doing Torah Pal Season 2, and it's me and Jono and Rabbi Singer. And sometimes we have special guests. So we've had Ross Nichols in, and Ken Lane, this really cool dude, you know. And so we get to do that every week, which is a real thrill for me to go through the Torah portion. You really get a better grip of things when you're trying to explain it to somebody else. It's funny how that works. And so when I study the Torah portion to do that show, I'm looking for things that stand out that I haven't heard before. And I wouldn't do that if I was doing it for myself, because you generally just read what's on the page. You're not looking for new information. You just accept what's there. And if it's new, it's new. And if it's not, it's not. But when you're trying to do something that's entertaining, you're looking for something that's a bit more interesting, or something that's personal to you that I haven't considered before. So we've been hard and fast friends. And now in 66 days, we are flying to Israel. We're leading like 50 people through through Israel with Tovia and Ross.
Unbelievable. I'm so envious.
I'm envious. I haven't even done it yet. I still can't believe it's actually happening, because this was just like, should we do this? Well, I don't know. Should we do it? Well, I think we probably should try. Well, who would want to go? I don't know. We'll get maybe 5 people. If you go 5 people, that'd be okay. And now we have this bus full of people, and it's really awesome. And if this works, then maybe Johnny will run a tour next year, and I don't know if I'll be on the next year, but if it works, we'll give people an option to go and do an Israel tour that doesn't center on the Christian sites, which lots of Israel tours do.
Yep, that's so
cool.
True.
We get a week outside of Jerusalem and a week in Jerusalem. We're going to lots of interesting places and lots of nice hotels. Hotels are the best bit. I said, look, I'll do this, but I'm not staying anywhere that's less than 4 stars and
higher than 82 degrees. Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Are you ready for our first caller, Mr. Jason Spiritual Babies?
Sure.
Okay. Very good. Welcome to Tanakh Talk. This is William and Jason Spiritual Babies. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
Am I the first caller?
You are. You must have heard the advertisement I gave. Yes, you are the first caller.
They just called in for the book.
I think they want to talk to you, but a lot of people are actually kind of nervous. But if you sweeten the pot a little bit, it's like, you know what? I think I can do this. I think I can. Very good. So after the show, send me, or after we hang up at some time, you want to wait till after the show. Don't be distracted throughout the show, because I know you really want to listen to Jason's testimony. Sometime after the show, send me a message on Facebook, okay, with your, and just with your address and stuff, and we'll discuss things there, okay? So, yep, you are our first caller, and congratulations. Not for the book.
I actually already won a book from you when you first started doing the number thing.
Really? So who is this?
I'll let the second caller have the book. I really just wanted to talk to Jason.
Oh, that is so sweet. What is your name? Who is this?
This is Sherry Scheidel. I'm a Facebook friend of his.
Yes. I think we're friends on Facebook too. If we're not,
yes, we are.
Okay, very good. Sherry, congratulations. And it was very kind of you to pass it along to caller 2. Very nice.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, well, go ahead with your question, Sherry.
Well, I didn't have too much of a question. I just wanted to say I really appreciate what both of you do. It's wonderful. I enjoy both of your videos. Everything is so well done, and my husband's standing here listening. he's been listening to this with me, and he's listening to Jason saying, that's exactly where we are. So it really rings home. And I just want to say I really love your artwork that you've been doing, and I'd like to see more of it. And I've really seen it's going in such an interesting direction. It's very inspiring. Because I'm an artist too, and I've been trying to figure out where art fits into all of this whole big picture. And so if you could ever do any explorations on that topic, I'd really appreciate it.
Well, I've also been following your page, and I see the things that you post, and they're really awesome. I love them very much. Thank you for calling in, and thanks for all the shares and support that you give me on Facebook and in other ways. Anything that I create, or the media that I do, is completely pointless if no one gets engaged and involved. So I appreciate that, and thank you very much for having your husband stand there and listen to.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Part of what I was saying is me trying to share where I am hopefully gives other people some perspective and takes away the fear of where they are. Yeah, you're right about art. I mean, I remember being told a few times, especially when I was exploring the Jewish angle of faith, that you absolutely shouldn't create any art. You know, that's one of the big misconceptions about Judaism, is that they don't create graven images, right? Because the comprehension of the word graven and what that means is completely foreign to people that haven't bothered to look. Whereas I see Judaism as being this amazing outpouring of artwork in so many different forms. I mean, the service in the synagogue is sung. I mean, I volunteer a couple of days a week at the local or the national, I suppose, the Irish Jewish Museum, and we have a synagogue upstairs which was there for 100 years. It's real old.
Wow.
And in the corner is this air bellows organ, right? You know, an organ, but that's not uncommon in the UK and Ireland to have an organ in that thing. And the cantor would sing, and the organ would accompany him, and that's a form of artwork for me. And when the scribe sits down to write the Torah scroll, he does it with an ink and a pen. He's not using a stone tablet and a chisel. And even if he was, that's still another form of artwork. And you go to Aish and Chabad, and it's full of imagery. It's full of imagery and pictures. And the Bible itself is full of imagery and pictures. Mm-hmm. When God talks to the prophets, he does it through visions. He doesn't write stuff down on a piece of paper and gives it to them to read. It's all about oral, audible, and visual representation. I mean, the whole transmission, when God spoke to Moses, he did it with his mouth and his ears, and then Moses audibly, regardless of what people say about the Tanakh, that was an orally transmitted document to the people, whether that came from Moses or from the prophets. And so artwork for me, that 2 or 3 dimensional exploration of your feelings on a subject, a representation of where you are and how you feel about something, is super important, just as important as poetry or even prayer. And often some of the pieces I do are more about me expressing how I feel about a subject than me trying to express to others how I feel about a subject. And so you should just keep on doing what you're doing. I've watched your stuff, and I've watched it progress as well. And I love the direction that you're going in. So don't, when you get to a cold spot, just keep on pushing through, because we are created by the Creator in his image, and he was a creator, and we are too. Mm-hmm. So create, I think, is one of the best things you can do in life, is create.
I completely agree. Sherry, thank you so much for calling in. And let's just, a minute ago, I put up, Jason, your, as we were talking, you had sent me a link to your DeviantArt. I've left that on my window here so that I could pull it in when I want to. And I'm going to pull it in again. And Sherry, if you know anybody who has an interest in his work, maybe you could share this as well.
Sure.
Okay, so it's artwork is found that I've got it on your screen. Oh no, I don't. Hang on, let me put it on the screen right now on the side window of his Skype contact. HTT. Well, you don't need all that. SpiritualBabies.deviantart.com /. And so I'm going there after the show myself. So write that down if you're watching, and you can share this as well. That's just another wonderful facet of Jason's beautiful life. Baruch Hashem for that. Sherry.
And if you want to support Spiritual Babies, the site itself allows you to buy them as prints or on canvases, and I get between 80 cents and $4, depending on what you buy, which I'm always grateful for because it keeps me going, and people get to take the stuff home. I mean, I don't mind people just taking it themselves, and like I've had a number of people that have said, do you mind if I just copy and print this out onto some photographic paper? I don't mind that at all, as long as you're not misrepresenting what you've got, which has happened a few times too.
Right.
But if you do want to support me and you want to do it by getting a professional print of some of the stuff I've done, then please do, because I appreciate that.
And don't like make copies, hundreds of copies, and for selling it.
Well, that's it. Yeah, if you use it for personal use, you just want to, because lots of the stuff is on my Facebook photos page. You're going to find a lot of these in quite good resolution print on the photos page. If you want to just download one of those and print it out and put it on your wall, then please do. That's fine. I've no problem with that.
And you know, Sherry, one final thing. I've struggled with that too. I've done artwork for a long time, and I actually stopped doing it completely because of the same concerns. And it wasn't until Ira Michelson had come down and visited with us. We did a little. He did some lectures at our place, and he basically, repointed me back to the Ten Commandments and showed the context of it. And the context of it was literally for the purpose of worshiping or idol worship.
Right, verse 5. Everyone forgets about verse 5.
Yeah, and you can literally, you can literally just see it right on the page. In fact, let me go there real quick.
That's what I've always thought too.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and so it actually, I felt completely relieved, and I'm so grateful for teachers like Ira, and even with Jason, with him reaching out, with his artwork as well. So yeah, I would say, Shirley, start posting that stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing some of your stuff too, Cheryl. So that's good. It's a good talent to have, I think. So awesome.
Thanks for calling in, Sherry.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was good to talk to you.
And you.
Awesome. Okay, folks, you heard it straight from caller number 1. Caller number 2 gets the free chumash. That was very kind of her. So, well, this is really cool, man. I'm glad that she called and asked about that, because I've never really had the opportunity myself to even discuss that, other than what conversation that I had with Ira. There it is. Let's see if they bring it up, if they even heard it. Welcome to Tanakh Talk. This is William in Kingsland, Texas. What is your name? And do you have a question for our super guest, Jason Spiritual Babies?
Hi, yeah, my name's Jeff Donahue.
Jeff Donahue, how are you?
Excellent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I've seen you on Facebook quite often.
Yeah, I hang around on there every once in a while.
Awesome. Okay, is there anything special about caller number 2 that you're aware of?
I'm super. It's kind of weird. I'm not used to hearing actual people assigned to all these names that I talk to every day. Hi, Jeff. It's really cool to meet you in real life.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, same here. I don't really have a question, because Jason's answered every question I've ever had.
Nice. He's quite the thorough fellow.
That's right. No, I again just wanted to speak my appreciation for the work you're doing, and certainly the work Jason is doing. He's opened my eyes to a lot of things, and it's just really great, the work that you guys are doing.
That's very thoughtful of you to call in for that. That's really nice. And we really appreciate that as well. I know I speak for me and Jason both. Absolutely.
Yeah. As my background was pretty much same route you guys have been on. I was in the Christian church and actually was a Christian pastor for a while, and then went into Messianic and in the Hebrew roots, and now into Gare or whatever
Sure.
we're calling it this week. But that certainly you guys have helped on my journey an awful lot. So
an ex-pastor who, in other words, a 250-pound guy is out testing the ice and found it to be safe. And I say that spiritually. So
yes.
You know what? We should talk more. Maybe we can even discuss a possible future interview. So I really find that, which is why I was so driven for Jason, because of everything that he's been through and everything that he's doing now. I mean, he's just like a locomotive, just going full 80 steam ahead. Almost. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so yes, thank you for calling in and with your
I appreciate it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, now question for you. We were giving away. Were you aware of the Chumash situation?
Yeah, I've got more than I can handle right now.
Okay, good. Okay, it looks like
plenty. I appreciate it. Yeah, give it to someone that really needs it.
That's very kind of you. Okay, cool. So we still have it for caller 3. We might just have a domino effect here.
That's right.
Jeff, shalom, my friend.
Shalom.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
That's really cool. Man, I tell you what, it's a real honor to have you on the show. It really is. Like I said, if it wasn't for people like you, Jason, and for Rabbi Singer, Rabbi Skobac, and all these who are these teachers, I would still literally be probably lost, And so this is William. Who do we have on the phone?
Which is why I'm so driven for Jason.
Sounds like I'm on the phone.
Hello?
Yes. Can you do me a favor? Would you turn down your monitor volume, please, that you're watching the video on?
I can go outside.
Oh, that'd be fine.
My children are. I can go outside. Hold on. Actually, let me find another place. Can you guys turn down the monitor volume on that, please? And I'll go in the other room so that there's no lag.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Typically, feedback's not a problem unless it's me hearing my own voice. I don't really care to hear my own voice much. Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, hi.
Very good. What is your name?
Am I live?
You are live. Is that okay?
Hi, Jason. It's Christy.
I knew it as soon as I heard your voice. How's it going?
I thought that it. Oh, perfect.
This is cool.
Hi, Jason. Well, that is perfect for me to be the one that would come on and say, hold on just a minute. I thought that it would be like your tech or something that would get me ready to come on live.
Oh, no, I'm actually in the studio by myself alone. Sometimes if you listen closely on Rabbi Singer's or Rabbi Skobac's deal, I answer the phone line so much. Sometimes I forget to turn my microphone down. I was talking with Jason earlier, and I noticed, and Rabbi say he was a professional. He just floated right past it. I thought I turned the microphone down, and I unplugged it, and I was like, hello, this is William. And it's like, I looked over and I see Rabbi Singer like looking back, like, what's that noise I'm hearing? So, but no, you are live. There is no screening on most of the time on this show. So you're good to go. Go ahead.
Oh, well, hi, Jason. Jason and I are good friends.
That's cool.
He's been in my home, and I've served him dinner and gave him odd gifts, and he's been a tremendous source of friendship and knowledge and encouragement over the last few years. And I just called in because I miss him and I miss Lynn, and I wish I were going to Israel with you guys.
Maybe next year, right? Next year, Jerusalem.
There you go.
Yeah, right. I will have to have a series of garage sales.
For me,
and I want to say that the world needs more people to love bubble wrap as much as you love bubble wrap. If anyone's got bubble wrap, send it to, I don't know anyone else who has such a fascination with bubble wrap. So send that on to Christy. You can send it to me and I'll forward it to her.
Actually, it was just funny. So I had some friends over, and Jason and Lynn came over for dinner, and I went into my bedroom, and it was just one head in there. I came out with a gift. I thought it was funny. I had 4 pieces of bubble wrap, and I thought Jason was gonna die laughing on the couch. It was great.
How funny!
He just was so. It was very funny. So we had a wonderful time.
It was one of the last things I was expecting.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how you could expect that, but I mean, you're very good at being, knowing what to expect, but I really threw you for a loop. Well, I wanted just to tell you how much you've encouraged me and tell you how much you've blessed me, Jason, when I didn't really know where else to turn. I have a similar story as so many of the Ger or those coming out of Christianity and finding the truth. And I would send emails of the attacks that I would get from people of the church and former roommates. And I remember asking Jason, do you want to see what's going on so that you know exactly what I'm facing? Because it's devastating me. And he said, yep, just send the whole lot. So he literally invested, and he let me send him the back and forth constantly, so that, because actually she called me to the carpet because she said, my old former Christian Bible school roommate, who's now the wife of a pastor, she said, do you associate and do you condone the teachings of this Jason SPIRitualBabies guy? So she really did make that association. And then all of a sudden she's like, are you leaving Jesus? And do you believe in what this guy believes? And so then all of a sudden it brought me to explain the whys behind the leaving, the whys behind the contradictions, what I was seeing. And then it got very ugly from there. And at first she said, I want to reason together with you. At first it was kind, and shortly, after, I think we had like 20 some back and forth. By the end, it was very, very ugly. And I was just, she was laying down the threats that Christianity ultimately say is leading my family, to hell and all of that. And Jason, you were just, I don't know how, I know that you were a provision from the Almighty God for me. I just feel like, without that encouragement from across the sea, this foreign fellow of support, I don't know how I would have held up. It was really devastating to have so many ugly attacks, and you chimed in when family and other people got involved, and Nehemiah even got involved in some of the fights. And I can't tell you what that meant to me, because I was feeling so devastated, and that it was just the most beautiful. I felt like God sent in the troops for me. And it's interesting, that day that another time that was public and it wasn't just secret message, there were so many people from my old Christian Bible college that were chiming in and, telling me how they felt about things. And that day my computer froze. I could not respond. It was Mother's Day and I could not respond to any of the attacks. And Jason was involved, Nehemiah was involved, all these different people went to bat for me. And I was so frustrated because I had no way to respond. And everyone fought for me. Finally, by the end of the day, I was able to talk. And it's like, oh, it's finally nice to see you on here, Christy. But
right.
And I said I couldn't respond all day long.
A step back in those situations, and there's quite a famous meme that goes around that says, just because you're invited to the argument, you don't have to turn up. And the feeling you get when you're attacked is one thing, and that's something that I think everyone should offer support with, especially to your friends. But when it comes to Facebook, if you've got someone who's there's a couple of things. If you've got someone that's coming to your page and crapping on your lawn, then you can either throw that crap back, which generally just results in a crap fight. Right. You can let someone else come in who's maybe got a better spade than they have, or you can just delete them. I mean, it's your life. I mean, we sometimes feel that we have to respond to prove that we're right, but we don't. We can just close that door and let them be frustrated over there and get on with your life and move forward. Yeah. But in regards to our personal dialogue, what else am I going to do?
So what advice do you have for Sherry if it's a family member that actually is the one who's doing this?
The family member is the one that attacked me. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Well, on mine, to concur with what Jason has said, a lot of my posts that I do back in the day, whenever I was leaving Christianity and moving into the Messianic movement, that's when I really started catching most of the heat from my family. But then, and I was very much combative with them. Mainly because I knew the New Testament better than they did. And I knew enough of the Torah, way more of the Tanakh than they did. And so it was always a fight. And I was there ready to swing back. But now, like Jason said, oftentimes I would recommend too that if somebody is on your Facebook, whether it's a friend or family, and they're going to, if they're approaching you in a manner that is not cordial and is not friendly, and they're not asking, but they're trying to tell, you just simply don't have to respond. If you've got other friends who are following Torah, and they see these comments, chances are some of your friends who are your true mishpacha will actually come in for you and speak on your behalf. You don't ever even have to respond. You can just kind of let it sit there,
That sometimes is good and that sometimes is bad, because what you don't want is your blood, if you like, getting aggrieved because now these complete strangers are coming in and telling them how they should react with their relations, with their own relations. What some people do is they have a Facebook page for their family and a different account for their faith life.
Yeah, I've heard about that too.
Then they can divide where they're going to put the information up on, and that makes things easier. If you're putting up pictures of your kids at the summer camp, you can share that in a way that isn't going to aggravate anybody. And you shouldn't have to do that, but at the end of the day, they're kind of your family, and if you want to get along with them, because that's a choice you can make to get along or not get along. If you want to get along, then you can do that down that avenue, and then you can share the things that are more spiritually important to you on a different page, and never the twain shall meet. And it normally settles a lot of arguments, or at least dumbs the fire down a little bit, so it's not going to burn anybody.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right.
Christy, is that something that you could do? Is that an option for you?
It's funny. I've kind of, I guess, trimmed my friend list quite significantly for the ones that I know are watching with a judgmental eye. I just kind of, I just walked away because it was painful, and people were definitely still being aggressive toward me, and sometimes secret messages. And that was just, life is too short to have that constant poison, because if they wouldn't give me the opportunity to explain the why behind the leaving, then if they are just going to, come at me with what their interpretation of, like one family member said, you chose to leave me. You chose to spend eternity somewhere else. And I thought, wow, what an incredible mindset that they are stuck in. What, you think I would choose hell? That was such a foreign thing that I realized, wow, I said, don't you want to know where I find comfort in our shared Hebrew scriptures to where I have a peace that my children and I are safe from that damnation? Wouldn't you like to even know where I have come to grips with that? And but that opportunity was not given. I actually did ask that question because, of course, I don't choose that. Obviously, I've made a discovery that whether you choose to believe in that at all or not, I said, because you love me and because it causes you such grief because you're so worried about me, wouldn't you like to know what I think? But sometimes I just, only for my immediate family did I really hope that I would have that opportunity. So for my siblings, because half of my family stayed in the church and very active ministry and active, pastors and things. And my father as well. And then my mother and my brother, he left Billy Graham after 15 years. And, high up in Billy Graham, and he left and I left, and he's got 6 kids and I've got 5 kids. And so our family literally up to the parent line is split down the middle, 2 siblings and a parent on one side. And that the Bible verse where it says, I'll take 2 from a one from a city, 2 from a family.
Mm-hmm.
That actually, that's true as far as the tenderness and the seeking of our family. That was the case for us.
The thing is, you can't. It's not like a boxing match, in that.
Yeah.
The text tells us that God created all people, and Ezekiel 18 tells us that all souls belong to God. So that your opponent, if you like, in this is trying to win your soul. All right, they're trying to win your faith and your belief, to agree with them, and then ding ding, they get the knockout. But you can't win their soul. That's already God's. So you are in a position where you can't win. You can perhaps show them text that they'll perhaps be open-minded enough to perhaps study out and perhaps come to the same conclusions, but you don't win because you've got nothing to win. You're responsible for yourself and they're responsible for themselves, but they don't have that perspective. So it's an impossible engagement. It's a fight that they have any chance of working out the victor of when it comes to a spiritual outlook, right? When it comes to you being responsible for gaining a soul for heaven. So that's really impossible to do. And so if you just don't get involved. All you can really do, and it's one piece of advice I'd offer to anybody, if you are engaged in that kind of conversation with somebody, never engage in personal revelation, personal thoughts. Only offer biblical answers, scripture and verse answers to the questions that they're asking. And don't turn it into a well, I believe this, because no one's really interested in what anyone else believes. And we certainly shouldn't be. We should only be interested in what the text says, and that should be enough. If they want explanation of that text, that's a different story.
And interestingly enough,
the only clean fight really is one where you rely only on the text and examples from the text. So I wouldn't worry about it.
And that's something.
I really want to thank you for calling in. And can you please give big hugs to your wonderful husband and all your kids, and to Scott and to Judy?
I sure will. And they miss you, and we love you so much. And we can't wait for you to come back to Texas so we can see you and take you on some kind of strange adventure.
Well, maybe we will,
in bubble wrap.
A lot of friends.
Well, come. I really don't. It was just a one-time thing. I really don't have that much of an affinity, or a love. For bubble wrap.
My children do.
It just happened. It was a spur of the moment thing. It's fun.
That's funny.
I agree with you, Jason. I agree with you. That is excellent advice. I have kind of stuck to that rule. When I said that I was passionate only that my 2 siblings and my father would at least know, not everything, but just a real straight scriptural reason, a couple reasons why I don't believe the way they do anymore. I've actually had those talks. They've given me each about an hour and a half, and then it's like the deer in the headlights. But I did get an opportunity, and I don't feel a burden anymore to explain myself to them anymore.
Good.
And I think it gave them a little peace. My dad says, I don't understand it. He's a pastor. He said, I don't understand it, but I think you're okay with God. And somehow I think we'll all be in heaven. And so, which is really interesting. So he's going against his thought. He's like, I watch your family. I watch your dedication, your devotion, your love for the scriptures. He says, I don't understand it. It's goofy to me, but you're so sincere, and your devotion and love for the God of Abraham is who I love too. have a different understanding. And he said, so I guess I'm kind of almost okay with it. And I just have to trust that you're going to be okay, So that's really good, because it was really painful at first.
I'd call that
so
a
we've
draw.
reached kind of we have reached a safe going forward, exactly. We've reached a draw. And for everyone else, like you said, unless God is going to open the eyes of the hearts of these people based on their searching. I mean, that was the old adage in Christianity was, they're standing there knocking on the door constantly. But rather in the Torah, it's if you seek God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, then you will find him. It's this absolute sold out look for him, rather than just assume you found everything. Where I was at as a Christian, I wasn't looking, and so, yeah, it's so beautiful. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful for the truth that I found, and it is more precious than gold, more amazing than rubies. I mean, the wisdom, what I've learned so far on this journey is, I'm so thankful that I don't have anything alongside of the Creator anymore, and to raise my children believing that way. So it's so precious, and I leave the rest in God's hands as far as the rest of my family goes.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Good
Anyways,
choice.
thank you. It's so good. It's so good to talk to you. And Jason, I was so excited that I was going to get a chance to just hear your voice, other than me listening to you with my family on Shabbat and different times. We'll listen to teachings and different things. It's just been a blessing. So thank you so much, brother. And thank you, William, for your shows.
Yes,
I called in. I was the family that called in when
I remember
Rod Bryant was on.
Oh, yes. Awesome. It was good to hear from you.
Yeah.
By the way, do you have in your home a need for a chumash?
What's that? I'm still learning all this Jewish
okay.
stuff.
That's quite all right. The chumash is basically the Torah in a book that's got Hebrew on one page, and on the opposite page, on the mirroring page, it's got the English, and at the bottom it's got commentary. And also within the book, it's actually got the Haftarah portion that goes with each Torah portion. So
I don't have one of those.
Well, you know what? Send me a message when we're done, because you are the winner of the chumash on this show. Yay! So send me a message, and then we'll discuss how we'll take care of that. Okay.
Okay. How do I send it? Through Facebook?
Yeah, actually, go on Facebook if you want to do it either on my personal page or on the Tanakh Talk page. You can go either place and just send a message to me there. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. What a blessing. That's wonderful.
That's awesome.
See, Jason, my connection, my friendship to you just keeps on giving. Thank you, Willie. I appreciate that.
You betcha. Shalom. Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Shalom.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Talk to you later. Bye.
That's
Take care, guys.
awesome.
Thanks.
You betcha. Wow, that is so cool. That's so cool. And it all worked out to her benefit, because the first three callers, I got the wrong screen up here, actually passed it up. Hi. Get a different view this time. Okay. Okay, good deal. Well, there you go, man. You know what? We may be up here till midnight, brother, if you're willing.
It's 1:15.
Right? Welcome to Tanakh Talk. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
This is Peggy.
Hello, Peggy.
Jason would know me as Peggy Miller Cunningham in Kentucky.
Hi, Peggy.
Very good. Peggy Miller Cunningham from Kentucky. How are you? And do you have a question for the rabbi? You just want to do a little chit chat?
No, Rabbi.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Talk about habit. Creatures of habit. Oh my God. Hey, maybe one day we're going to give him a shrinka here in about 20 years.
I thought maybe I called the wrong thing.
Oh man, there we go. There's my lack of expertise bleeding through.
You do a good job, and I enjoy all of it. Jason, I've kind of watched you evolve over the last couple of years, quietly sitting back. I'd kind of jump in now and then, but I'm very private. I don't have family really who cares too much what I do, I don't think. But I'm still private with friends, so you won't find anything on my Facebook page. I'm sure you probably noticed that. I do all my opinionated comments on other people's pages. But I know the last people I studied with were Messianic, which I am no longer. I'm attending a conservative synagogue. I had a choice here in my area, conservative or reform. And at some point, I'm being careful and not going too fast, but I would like to probably convert, because I feel like I've come home. My past sounded a little like yours. We sporadically attended church, and these were Southern Bible Belt churches with the, preachers pounding the pulpit and threatening you with hellfire. And, it's a little scary for a little kid, thinking the devil is coming after you at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was studying with two Messianic people, one of them would keep repeating from the New Testament, and I paraphrase because I don't remember where things are. I'm not gifted with, being able to quote chapter and verse. But it was basically, woe be to you if you ever believed and then didn't anymore, because you're in heap of trouble now. And I went for about 2 years with that one verse stuck in my head, very afraid, until I started listening more to the Torah Pearls. And as Jono's views seemed to change a little, I changed about the same time he did. Although we weren't connected, I just noticed it. And you've just been wonderful for me. I mean, the lessons, everything that, you put out on the podcast, I appreciate it so much, and I've totally gotten past that fear. But I wondered if you experienced any of that. Fear over
what?
Jesus.
I think it's because I didn't have the social real world baggage that a lot of people have with close family and friends. I've always been kind of a loner, and so that really wasn't as much of an issue for me. Obviously, the group, the real life group that I was interacting with, that fizzled out pretty quick when I left the Christian texts. But I really wasn't that concerned. And I remember I often talk about this one October night where I went out onto the balcony and I said, look, I'm confused. If you're real, because I mean, there is a point where you kind of almost say, well, maybe none of this is right? The New Testament's got so many issues in it. How do I know any of it's real? And so I went out and I said, look, if this is true, if you're really there, I don't want you to just gently nudge me and give me a hint. I want you to proper punch me in the face. Let me know. And I said, no, literally, I'll do it. Whatever it takes. Just make me understand. And then I don't want to say I don't pray very often, but I don't ask for things very often. But I got a super fast turnaround, and I don't know whether it was just because I've been looking at the topic of prayer quite a lot lately, and I think my understanding of what prayer was very Christian, and lately I've been coming to some different conclusions. And I think because I allowed myself the opportunity to think that maybe this stuff was kind of made up and that there was another option, God just opened that door for me. So I didn't really have that problem. But when I posted on Facebook, then the community that I was involved with on Facebook, which was much bigger, that gave me a few issues. There was the initial roller coaster part where the bottom falls out of your stomach when you realize that maybe all this is gumph, and I can still remember that feeling. But other than that, I have to say I've been very lucky, and I don't want to say blessed. I think it was complete luck that I didn't have people who interact with me on a daily basis that I can't choose to be apart from, who were going to find this difficult and cause problems. And so I totally appreciate. And the funny thing about Peggy, she's right. She doesn't post this stuff on her page, but I see her posts all the time on my newsfeed. She's in my 15. I've got 15 people who I make sure that I see their stuff on my newsfeed. And she puts these really beautiful, just small little things up, just talking out into the universe. And they make me think about everybody else rather than just myself when I finish up Facebook for the day. And so I'm super appreciative of Peggy and her support and her comments and her page. So I want to say, Peggy, you are as, if not more, instructive in how to deal with life than I could ever hope to be. So I really appreciate you two.
Well, thank you. It's probably because I'm old enough to be your mother. I heard you say how old you are. I win this contest. So,
that's funny.
But no, I do appreciate both of you. And thank you, William.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate the chance to get to talk to you, Jason.
Very good. Thank you so much.
And I want to thank you for calling. It's really lovely being able to talk to people.
Yes, indeed it is. And
Absolutely.
I'll see you all on Facebook.
Shalom, shalom.
Yes, you will.
Shalom.
Oh, that was cool, man. Just gotta love here talking with people and hearing their voice. And like you said, putting a face to the text is really nice. Or putting the voice, I mean, to the text. It's really cool. It's not like talking to Siri, you know.
No. That gets really boring after a while.
Yeah, unless you could think of really creative questions to ask. Like I asked her one time, I was just bored, and I was like, "Are you thirsty?" She says, "But if I was, I would probably have battery acid for drink or something like that." Oh my gosh. Okay, you know what we'll do? We'll kind of run on. Maybe we'll hit just one more little follow-up summary with maybe some closing comments from you. But if the callers keep coming in, I'd be more than happy to kind of take a few more calls if they want to call in. So, and if not, we'll just kind of wind down. And right now we're about an hour and 20 minutes in. So it's a nice juicy chunk of change for people to chew on later. So that's good. So is there anything else you want to pick up on? You were kind of telling us all the way up to the point where y'all are going to be taking an Israel tour here soon. And yeah, I am very envious of that because we've been wanting to go for so long, but just, yeah, we're just going to kind of leave it at that. And
well, I have to say, Jono's done all the groundwork on this. It was his baby, and he and his wife have really, I didn't even think about how much was involved. The work and the organization, routing 50 different people all from different places all over the globe, and for them to be in one place in one point of time and space, and for there to be a company waiting to pick them up, and then where they're going to go and where they're going to sleep every night, and then organizing all of that stuff and the finances and the terrifying thing about taking other people's money before you give them anything for it.
Right.
I'm glad that's not. I made it. I told him from the beginning, like, don't put my name on any of the things because I'm really happy to like help with this, but I really don't want to be. That's the level of responsibility I'm not ready for.
Right.
So he really has. He's done so much for this. So hats off to him. It's all really laid at Jono's door. But what I am doing, I ran a fundraiser because there's no way I was going to get there on my own. I ran a fundraiser for people that help me get there on the proviso that I will record everything. And people donated in one way or another. And now I'm going to be like the ears and eyes of the tour, which is going to be super cool because it will mean that the people that can't make it still get to engage and see and share not just the snapshots but the audio when Tovia is giving a presentation or the tour guide. Sugar uses this amazing tour guide that John has had before. When he's doing something, we're going to be able to capture that. And in the evenings, I don't want to make people super jealous, but there's going to be Tanakh studies and talks with Tovia around a table. Can you imagine what that's going to be like, just having food and wine and going through our Tanakh at the end of the day with Tovia? But we'll be able to capture a lot of that stuff and upload it as a library. So people, hopefully, given a good Wi-Fi connection in the evenings and a good bandwidth, I'll be able to upload something at the end of every day. That's the hope.
Nice. Yeah.
One thing I don't have is Apple. So I have the ability to upload a load of stuff, but I don't have a really that I can't do anything for iTunes or anything. But most of it's going to go up onto YouTube and onto Facebook. And I think what will probably happen, we have a Tanakh Tour 2015 group page, and I'm going to post everything onto that and hashtag everything. And I'm going to ask the people on the tour to hashtag their photographs too that they're happy sharing. So when people go to Facebook and type in the hashtag at the top, they'll get all of the media.
Nice. That's awesome.
Straight away, because we really want people to. I mean, a lot of people supported me on this trip who can't go themselves, and I want them to get a little taste of the tour as well and not miss out on any of the goodies.
That's really awesome. So, and before we take this call, I gotta tell you how I know how much Jonah must appreciate you and the time that you've spent on his Facebook page and actually doing a lot of his admin work and things like that. It's incredible because it is a lot of work, and shout out to a couple of people who have been even helping me doing video editing as far as that goes. I very much appreciate it. Without you guys' help, some of the stuff would not happen. So we really appreciate that. And I know Jonah appreciates it. And I know you're going to probably appreciate it as soon as you start getting some volunteers to help you on your sides.
Well, the thing with Jono's really excellent audio technician. And he's a really good host, and he really loves the radio medium, the podcast medium. I'm kind of happy with video, and I really enjoy the graphics, and I kind of like video editing. And so together, we get to bolster the other person. So I enjoy doing graphics for Torah Pearls and turning some of his programs into videos. And he gets someone that's not going to argue with him over audio editing. He's such a perfectionist. And so I think we fill the gaps of each other and we do a pretty good package. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of this tour. His audio and editing with my footage and graphics. We should come up with some really nice pieces that make for engaging watching.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I'm very excited to see all the stuff that's in the works and everything that y'all are involved in. That's great. Okay, let's take this next caller. Caller, welcome to Tanakh Talk. Who are we speaking with?
Oh, good evening. Evening here. Early morning for Jason. I'm Mark Cisnowski. I live in Connecticut, and actually I will be on the tour.
Oh, awesome.
How's it going, Mark? Nice to hear you. So I've met Mark a few years ago.
Yeah.
What was that, like 3 years ago now?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yep, I was in Ireland. My best friend got married that year, and we know a lot of people in Ireland. So there were 2 weddings, one wedding here, and then a week later, a number of us, including some friends from Ireland, flew back to Ireland and in an ancient monastic site, redid the ceremony there. So I had some extra time before I flew home. So it was a couple of days in Dublin. So Jason was very nice and bought me a pint one afternoon.
Awesome.
You can't come to Ireland and not have a pint of Guinness. I mean, you can't. If you do that and you try and leave, they detain you. It's just one of the things.
They give you a blood test and only let you leave if you fail it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you're legally allowed on the plane, they won't put you on the plane.
That's great.
You can't even get a pint on the plane.
That's funny. That's funny. Wow.
So yeah, Mark's coming on the tour, which is going to be a super thrill. And he consistently likes on my posts. So I have to say a little bit something about Facebook. I want to talk properly about it afterwards. But there are some people like Mark who consistently like and share my stuff, sometimes without reading it, which I think is a little bit dangerous. But I'm super appreciative for that core group, and that's spread over to Twitter a little bit as well. So Mark's really good friends with Ronnie and Jim or James, depending on who you want to talk to. They kind of hang around together online, and they're a really great group of people who have a really interesting relationship.
Well, and Jim and I actually live near each other, so we do
a radio show. Come out, How My People. They're really funny guys to listen to, and I enjoy their stuff a lot. And Mark is this person who supports people in a really amazing way. I'm super grateful for Mark and all the help he's given me and other people that I benefit from. So I want to thank you publicly, Mark, for not just helping me, but for helping other people whose products and media have helped me. It's because often it's only the guy on who's got the microphone and the camera who gets the credit. But sometimes to get that package onto the air needs extra help, and to get that shared and supported and spread out on the internet so other ears can hear that, that's much more important sometimes than the media being shiny and looking great. So I just want to say thank you very much, Mark, and I'm looking very much forward to seeing you on the bus.
Oh, I am too. Can't wait. I can't believe it's in such short time.
2 months.
That's amazing. That's
I
amazing.
know. Oh, God. Yeah, so, and it's interesting to see you on the other side, because usually it's Jason who winds up hosting other people. And, that's one of the other things, too. We're all sort of in this together, and everyone has to support one another in whatever way they can. I'm very fortunate and blessed in many ways, and I'm just happy to share what I can in my way to help support folks in what they do for so many other people that otherwise, just wouldn't happen. And that's what life is all about, just helping and aiding each other in whatever way that's available to you. I know Jason knows a little bit about some of my background, and my time is limited because I work a regular job, and I'm unplugged half the day because I work in a maximum security prison. So I don't have any of this available to me. So there's nothing more that I appreciate when I come home, especially after even a day like today. It was truly a Monday. So I was able to log in, and as I'm puttering around, getting supper ready and different things, to just see what someone put together during the day while I was babysitting felons. And I greatly appreciate everything that all of you do to put all these programs and things together for all of us who just don't have the ability or the time to be able to do it. Right. So it works both ways. You're able to do it, and I appreciate it. And however I can support it, I just love to do that.
That's awesome.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you, but you're right. We're all in it together, and there is a certain amount of help that's needed on both sides to, especially if you consistently trying to keep going and make things. It's not always easy, and emotionally and financially. Some people need a boost. I know I do sometimes. And there are people like you that help in both ways. So I'm very grateful. And literally, like the podcasts, I'd never been able to get that off the ground if I didn't have your help. So thank you very much. And everyone that's enjoyed a podcast or TuneIn Radio or iTunes, any of that stuff, that's totally because of Mark. So
that's awesome.
Owe him.
That's awesome. Mark, thank you so much for your call. That's very kind of you.
And we'll see you in a couple of months, Jason.
We certainly will. 66 days, I think it is. I'll see you on the bus.
That's awesome. Counting it down. All right. Shalom, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So here, let's do this. We'll give an opportunity for, let's say, one more caller. If you're watching and you still want to talk, we are past, but it doesn't matter. We'll hang on because Jason, before we leave anyway, I need you to. Well, there you go. After this call, there'll be a last call, and you can tell us about your Facebook adventure. Welcome to Tanakh Talk. And I know you called to talk to Jason, so who do we have on the phone?
Hi, my name's Audrey.
Hi, Audrey. Where are you calling from?
Colorado.
Audrey from Colorado. Welcome to Kingsland and
Thank you.
Ireland. Very good. What is your question for not the rabbi? See, I almost did it again. Habits are hard to break, I'm telling you. For future Rabbi Jason SPIRITUALBABIES.
Thank you for the opportunity. So I missed the first 20 minutes or so. If you've already addressed this, I apologize. But I'm wondering, as you have searched for a place to pitch your tent, I'm assuming within B'nai Noach or Judaism, has there been something that has prompted you to investigate it out, and you have yet to find resolution for it? For example, in the past, I believe I heard you say, as a Christian, you began reading the Tanakh, and once you realized the proper background and learned more information about the accurate interpretation of Tanakh, you realized some things and then moved forward. So that's my paraphrase. But is there anything now? How do you decide? How do you discern? For example, a red flag may come up. Is this? How do you discern between maybe it's the colored lens of my history or your upbringing, or is this a genuine red flag? Does that make sense?
Are you talking about picking a kind of a denomination?
Yes.
And can you not settle on that denomination because there are parts of it that you aren't sure are kosher?
There. I only heard part of what you said. I'm sorry.
So do you mean that have I not been able to settle because I'm not sure that that maybe the route I'm going, the doctrine I'm going in, so there are some parts of that doctrine which I have a problem with, and because I don't maybe believe that they're true, and that so I can't accept it. Is that what you mean?
Yes, I believe I am curious to know. Yes.
Okay, so wow, dirty laundry time. Yes. All right, but I'm kind of learning to take things relatively, in that. So a few years ago, someone had said to me, oral law, I would have just grabbed that and shrunk away because oral law, what are you talking about? But now I'm much more open to the concept of oral law. I won't, and I refuse to just take something on face value just because someone says that's the way it should be. That's not good enough. I did that before. It didn't work out very well, and so now I want to see some evidence of that. And generally, what I find is that my understanding of the thing that I have a problem with isn't a problem with a thing; it's a problem with my understanding, in that I haven't researched that out properly. And so, something like the oral law, which I did have a problem with, that problem came because I'd listened to other people's opinions rather than sort out what kind of the oral law really was and what it meant. Now, there are obviously traditions that are connected to certain things, and there's not much you can do about that. And there's kind of an admission with the word tradition that it is a tradition and not maybe a fact. And one of the really cool and interesting things about Judaism, that there is a tradition that if you have a tradition, you keep the tradition. And you have to kind of accept that. And so, yeah, there are parts of certain avenues which I'm discovering, which I do have problems with, that I'm trying to sort out. But I guess you have to ask yourself, is this problem a deal breaker, and will it really affect the way I am? So why haven't I converted? I haven't converted because the avenue for conversion in this country doesn't really exist. I have two options for synagogues. One of them would be accepted by everybody, but isn't an option because I'm not. There's just not an open door at the moment here. There's conversions now and just don't happen at the moment. And B, I'm not really wholly sure if I can give the time that would be needed to go through that process right now. And if I'm willing to go through some of the hoops that that's not how I live at the moment. So there are going to be some things that I would have to do to fulfill that conversion, which I am unable and unwilling to do right now. So I know there's going to be a few people that are going, you're unwilling to do it. You don't believe in Judaism, but that's not true. It's just that I don't believe that I'm able to be that person right now. And so that opens up the other page, which at the moment is this no-eyed stroke ger option. So I've been looking at that with increasing interest over the last few months, listening to Rod Bryan. He's doing amazing stuff with this. Rabbi Katz doing amazing stuff with this. And a lot of my friends on Facebook. And I've got a couple of people on Facebook who we talk about stuff like this. My friend Ida, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Ida. If we have an issue, we talk to each other about it in PMs. And it's never anything that I think I could probably ask any question. Like, what do you think about this? And it wouldn't be met with judgment. It'd be met with an honest response. And you have to approach things in that manner. You have to approach things with an open mind, first of all, and with some scholarly integrity that you're going to check it out before you. I mean, if you found a cake in the street, you wouldn't just eat it. So why would you do something much more damaging than that with your soul and your faith life and your relationship with God? So at the moment, I'm kind of looking at the ger no-eyed option. I read today, and I'm sorry I don't remember who wrote it, but I read today, somebody wrote, God made me a ger, and one of the nations. God made me one of the nations and not a Jew, so he must be happy with me being that way. And I thought that's really great perspective. And if people go through conversion, if that's the way they want to go at any given point in their life, I'm really happy for them to do that. I don't think there's anything more spectacular than showing your love for the Creator by undertaking everything that he's asked from a very specific group of people, and for you within that group of people to be an example to everybody else. I'd also say that there's a certain amount of people within that group of people that aren't being an example to everybody else, but that's another show. But for the most part, you've got this opportunity to be the Israel that we imagine Israel to be, and to join that group and be that Jew, right? That good Jew, that religious, light to the nations. And that's awesome. And anyone that goes, hats off to them. I'm really happy for them to do that. And lots of my friends have done that, and I've been left way behind by lots of the people that I went through this whole process with. And that's lovely. I love that. I love when people say I'm starting conversion or finished conversion. It's wonderful.
That's awesome.
But for me, that's just not where I am at the moment. And this idea of being the sojourner, the ger within the gates, being part of the Jewish community without being the Jew, being the Jewish, I'm the ish. I like that, and at the moment I'm comfortable with that, and I think that also, and this isn't the reason I'm doing it, it's just a pro from that position, is that I can talk to people and have conversations with people from the non-Jew perspective, which means that I'm not. Right, so, I've spoken to people before, and I've spoken, and I know this from personal experience. A few years ago, if I was speaking to someone that's Jewish and they'd be saying you should do this because that's what God wants, and I'd be like, well, it's easy for you to say that you're Jewish. You've made the choice, you've gone through the conversion, or you were born that way. But what about me? I'm not. I'm on the outside. How do I know that I've got a place? How do I know God's interested in me? Because you can go to some Jewish sources that say God absolutely isn't interested in having the same relationship with me as he might be for a Jewish person, for whatever doctrine. And some people say that. And I'm in a place where I'm happy that I can, my field of connection and friends integrates people that have converted, people that have been born Jewish, people that are scholarly, people that are religious, people that are non-religious, rabbis, and people that are just like me. And it gives me an opportunity to relate to everybody and to draw information from everybody. And you mentioned like the things that I wasn't sure about, and did that have an effect on my life choices in this way? So the Noahide, the N word, Ira often says, and I agree. It's such a terrible term. I don't know why choose that. I mean, Noahide is such a, it's just, and the issue with Noahide, right? And I'm sorry if I wake up tomorrow and I've got like 5 people left on my friends list on Facebook, I'm going to totally understand. The issue with something like Noahide is that everyone's a Noahide. It doesn't. And I'm not saying that people that choose to believe in God should be elevated above everybody else, but you do like to believe that you were a part of a group, right? You want to be a part of a bigger house, that you can connect with people. And no one likes labels, but you do like to be able to say, oh, look, that person's got such and such a thing on their profile. We have that in common. And I'm as Noahide as the Muslim guy that's going off to prayers late in the afternoon on the Friday, or the totally atheist guy, or the guy that hates God. And I'm as Noahide as they are, and that makes me feel that that's just not a valuable title. And it's not really found. I mean, it's not in a text at all, and so it's awkward. And so when you approach that phrase, it carries a lot of baggage. You assign to it a lot of baggage. Now I'm a bit more forgiving of it because I've kind of learned to understand a little bit more about the movement, and I don't feel about the word the way I did, but I won't use it unless I'm talking to somebody that doesn't have any understanding of any, their vocabulary doesn't stretch in this area to what mine would, and I'll use that if it's an easier way to connect to make people understand. So yes, this is the answer. There are plenty of issues that I have with things that I hear, but most of them are down to the fact that I don't understand. I don't have the answers. I'm not going to say what it was, but within 24 hours, within the last 24 hours, this came up actually during a certain show, a certain question, and I was completely not happy with the answer, and I'm still not happy with the answer that I got. And I've made it my thing this week to find the answer, and when I do, I'll do a show on it.
That's awesome.
So there are still issues, but none of those issues, I have to say, have negated the overall package of Judaism. Even though I'm not a Jew and I'm not converting, Judaism is still the filter that I'm looking at my relationship to God through, even as a Noahide or a Ger, as a non-Jew. That's the great thing about it. As a non-Jew, Judaism still gives you everything you need to do to have to understand your relationship with God through the text, whether that be how you pray, how you understand what prayer is. All these things can still be answered because you're a human being and we're all created equal. We just have different purposes. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I hope it did.
Something,
absolutely, and thank you so much.
Something as an added thought, I think, and this may not be a good example, but I was thinking of like homeschool. We're homeschooling like so many others, and there are so many different curriculums out there. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to have to choose one. And most of them have something wrong that we disagree with. But at the end of the day, if we want to homeschool, we're going to need to choose one. And I really think that's probably going to be the answer for a lot of us spiritually. The path that we're taking, we'll be converting. And there are things that I don't agree with, but I submit to it because, like Jason said, it's a very good point. Are these things that it's going to make or break you? And, 99.9% of the time, they're really not. So it's one of those things, am I willing to just submit to their authority on? And so, and the whole beauty of it is you don't have to convert to Judaism. We're doing it because we want to. So many are. Some are converting because they feel like they have to, and that's an uncomfortable place to be. So, Jason, I really appreciate the way you put everything in this conversation. It really kind of helped tie some loose ends.
There's a phrase, eat the meat and spit out the bones. And I think that when it comes to understanding your the digestion of the text and understanding of religion. I did a meme once, a little joke picture, and it's of a cliff, and there's a big cliff, and it's got a huge drop, and there are loads of people standing on the edge, and it was kind of a dig, I'll admit it, but one speech bubble said, "Don't lean on that rail; it doesn't work. You'll fall off." And another person says, "Don't listen to him, Jim. He doesn't believe in Jesus." Now, the point is,
I think I've seen it. That's great.
Right. So the point is that just because the information you're getting comes from a particular source doesn't mean it's not good or it is good. You have to test the information.
Right.
You know, you give
that's my
handrail
challenge
a little wiggle, and if it doesn't feel safe, don't go there. And if it feels safer, go there. It doesn't matter who's telling you that the oven's hot. The oven's hot. So just, you know, take the information where you can, test it out, make sure that you understand why you believe in it. Like at the top of the show, I said, make sure you understand why you believe in it, and then you can assign some faith to it. Nice. And that goes for anything else. But the point is, I think that you don't really need a label, right? There's you and your family, and there's God, and you can work within that circle. I mean, people have done it for thousands of years. It's nice to be part of a bigger community, whether that's in real life or through the medium of the internet, which many thousands of people do every day because they're not close to other families, especially. I mean, I know people that live in the middle of the Bible Belt and it's very difficult for them, but at least they get to interact with people online, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, just, you know, take it as you go. Make sure you're confident in where you're stepping before you step. And you can't go far wrong with that.
Very good. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Shalom, shalom. Okay, Jason, let's do this. Let's go ahead now. Okay, if you're watching, and I hope you get this within the next 30 seconds before the phone rings, we have just taken our last caller. We're going to let Jason close us out with a little bit of details of his Facebook activity and maybe some words of encouragement for you, the people out there who are still on the fence, if you will. Jason?
I feel like I should have like an agony. I'm quite enjoying this late night call-in show. I feel like I should have like an agony aunt show. Right. What I wanted to do is to first of all thank everyone who engages on Facebook. I've got a really amazing circle of friends on Facebook, and my Facebook friends are my pretty much faith community, and we share a ton of stuff through various groups. Torah Babies group, which contains kind of the core bulk of the people that I speak to every day, or sometimes every 2 days, depending on how I'm feeling. And we support each other in that group and on my page all the time. And I'm super grateful for the time that people invest to chat with me online, to share my stuff online, and to listen to the stuff I make. That really blows my mind. For people take so everyone's got a battery and a stopwatch at the beginning of the day of how much energy and how much time they've got. And the people are willing to sit down and spend some of that time and energy either talking or arguing, which is, you know, just as good. I love that. And watching the stuff I make and engaging in that and sharing that, that blows my mind. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who does that, regardless of what your background is. Really pro. You know, I'm doing this because I believe in what I'm doing, and I want to encourage people, regardless of what they might not have the same thoughts as I do on subjects, but they should absolutely, if they want to, express them loud and proud, and get out there and be a voice. And what I've really enjoyed over the last few years is watching other people, other voices coming up and making media, and turning what was quite a very small group into a much more diverse arena. One thing we're missing, I think, as a community is kind of the magazine feel. So it's really nice seeing, you know, you can read it and you can listen to it and you can watch it, and it's nice having all those options. And for people to come and spend their time sharing and watching all that stuff, I just wanted to say thank you. And on another note, there's if you're not on Facebook, you can find, if you type in Spiritual Babies, you'll find one of my pages. But if you type in Jason space NLyn, That's my personal page, and you can come and friend me. And I've got friends from all different backgrounds on there. You're not going to get your head beaten off if you don't think what I think. And I'm very comfortable talking on my page to anybody, as long as you're being respectful and not calling people names. Mm-hmm. And PMing if people need any kind of personal help or advice. Was there anything else?
I'd like to add something in there. You can also subscribe to his website, and also for those who are inclined and would like to do so, you can also donate for help further the work that he's doing. And so I know that's the uncomfortable topic. That's always the elephant in the room, if you will.
Not for me.
Not for you. Pay up, sucker. So Jason, all I know is that it's been a pleasure following you along. Like I said, it's a great pleasure of mine to have you on the show. And I think maybe we should have a follow-up sometime in the future, maybe after Israel.
Yeah, that would be cool. Thanks for having me on, Will. And thanks for dedicating so many days of your time. I know how much it eats into a regular life.
Sure.
So the stuff that you're doing with the rabbis and with your guests is really awesome. And again, I'm really grateful to see you just taking the time and being brave enough to step out and do it. So thanks for having me on, and thanks to everyone that called in.
Yes,
and to listen
that was a great call list. Great call list. Everybody, thank you again for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe to our website as well, TanakTalk.com, TENAK, and also you can subscribe on the Facebook page to the events if you want to keep in contact that way. So until next time, we'll see you soon. Shalom, shalom, everybody. And Jason, thank you so very much. Shalom, shalom.
חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. חושבים טוב ונושאים לכל העולם.